Yo, what's good guys? Today I want to show y'all the best teams that you can possibly run for the new LR Omega Shenron in Dokkan Battle. But before we get started, I want to know, how were your summons, man? Did you get lucky or did you get shafted? Be sure to leave a comment down below. For the first team in today's video, we have the LR Omega as the leader. And as you can see, we brought the LR Rose on this team, who's going to be a very good tank in slot 1. And he's going to share big bad bosses as well as a few other links with the Omega Shenron. They basically got all the important links together. And then we got the AGL Super Easy Yay Rose Goku Black in slot 3 because he's going to be a really good support. Now the reason why I have him in slot 3 instead of having him on the rotation and putting the Omega in slot 3 is with this Omega, not only is he giving attack support 70% for 4 turns, but then this Omega is also a 2-turn support for defense. So basically he gives extreme class allies defense 70% for 2 turns. And on top of that, for GT bosses, he gives damage reduction 10% for 2 turns. So what does that mean, Hollow? That means that you want an Omega on each rotation so that you can buff your current turn and your other turn, and it stacks up. Then on the next rotation, we have the Easy A full power Frieza in slot 1. He's gonna be pretty solid. He's got a guard on the first turn with his damage reduction. Then after the first turn, he just has damage reduction. However, he stacks defense. And that Omega Shenron's gonna, like I said, be giving him that defensive support each rotation. Then as a floater, we have the Int Buhan with his Super Easy A. This Omega Shenron is a really good orb changer, so he's gonna be eating good off of those orbs and he's gonna be hitting insanely hard. And then we do have the Nova Shenron, the new free-to-play option on this team as a floater. And like I mentioned earlier, the Omega Shenron is going to be giving him that defense and that damage reduction support. Now, if I was to take somebody off of this setup, I would probably take off the Nova Shenron and add in the AGL Baby, because that baby right now, he has a limited time buff. So right now he's stronger than ever, and he is on GT bosses, so he will get that buff from Omega that I mentioned previously. And speaking of, I want to show y'all option B right here, where we actually have the Great Ape Easy A Vegeta in slot 1. And I feel like this Great Ape Easy A Vegeta is gonna be a better tank than the Frieza for the most part. Only reason I have Frieza on there is because he has big bad bosses. However, with the floaters, most of them has big bad bosses. So that's why I went ahead and did this. Now the Great Ape Vegeta, he doesn't link very well with the Omega Shenron. However, Omega does change rainbow orbs every turn, so he shouldn't really struggle for ki. And then with that Great Ape Vegeta, he has guard and damage reduction permanently in the fight, whereas Frieza only has guard for 1 turn, and then the rest of the fight it's damage reduction only. So that is why I recommend you throw him on the team. But yeah, it's just another variant of the first setup. Depending on who you have dupes for and what works for you, and depending on the fight, I wanted to bring y'all 2 different versions of this team. In the next one, we have Omega Shenron as the leader again. And we're kind of jumping the gun with this setup because we have some additions on here, some pieces that aren't out yet. So we're a little early to the party at the time of me making this video, but that Taksin Shenron, the LR Legion of the Shadow Dragons, the Int Omega, they're getting their Easy A, and on top of that, the STR Omega Shenron is going to be getting his Super Easy A really shortly in this game. So I want y'all to be aware. Go ahead and start making this team now so that when they drop, you could go ahead and try it out. Now, we don't know exactly what they're gonna do, but I will say that the Legion of the Shadow Dragon Omega, the Int one, they are a support unit already. So who knows, maybe they'll give even more damage reduction support to GT bosses, defensive support to GT bosses. We gotta wait and see, right? Texan, he's kind of orb hungry. He's mainly an attacker, but maybe he'll be a competent slot 1 as well. We just gotta wait and see. But the reason why I have the physical Omega Shenrons in slot 1 is because if you're gonna run this setup in particular, the new Omega does nullify unarmed super attacks, so that's a little more rare for the hardest fights in the game, but that's the kind of fight I would bring this setup in. And then he cannot link up next to the AGL LR Omega Shenron since they have the same name. So that is why when he comes around, at least you're gonna want him in slot 1, have someone in the middle, and then have the AGL one on the end. Now, what you even could do is, depending on how good the STR Omega Shenron Super Easy A is going to be, you could kick off the AGL Omega and put that guy on the rotation in his spot, and it's going to be the same situation. But Omega giving this team defensive support and giving damage reduction to all the GT bosses allies you see right here, I mean, this team could be legit. For team number 3, we have everybody's favorite LR, the coveted LR Go Frieza. So we're on his leader skill, and we have that set up again with the AGL full power Frieza holding down slot 1 with his Easy A. You can do the same thing where you could trade him out for the Easy A Tech Grade 8 Vegeta like I mentioned. We got Rose on here, but on this setup we can actually bring the Int Merzumasu. Merzumasu isn't on Omega's team, but here he is on this lineup. So if you have him and you're trying to use him on more teams, here you go. You can even run the Omega next to the Rose like mentioned earlier. Load off the Zamasu if you like. It's totally up to you. But the orbs are going to be pretty crazy on this team. You got 3 rainbow orb changers, because the Tech Super Easy A Cell is also a rainbow orb changer, but he wants orbs. Like, he wants as many orbs as possible. So that's why it's not too bad to have that many orb changers. And one thing I do want to mention, Omega is kind of restricted to extreme class because he gets the intro buff by having all extreme class allies on the team. And one thing I want to mention is that when you tag out from the Frieza portion into the Goku portion of the Go Frieza card, which is something you always want to do, that Goku is still technically considered as extreme class, so you don't got to worry about Omega at all. And once you get tagged out from the Frieza portion of the card into Goku, that Goku is a really good tank, so you can even go ahead and start putting him on the main rotation if you like. Maybe you can put him next to the LR Rose Goku Black. Even when you're not tagged in to Goku, if you're on the Frieza portion of the card, he gets specific abilities as well for being on a full extreme class rotation, which we will always have active. And on top of that, he gets Battle of Fate allies, which is everybody on his team, attack and defensive support as well. For the next team, we are on the STR Cells leader skill. And one thing with STR Cell you want to keep in mind is that you need another tournament participant ally on his rotation when he shows up so that he could get his intro. However, we don't have to worry about that with this setup because obviously the AGL Cell is a tournament participant character, so we're all good right there. But if you do replace him, just keep that in mind. So we got that first rotation with the cells together, and then on the next one we got that famous Goku Black Rose and the other Rose next to each other. They're gonna work amazing, as I'm sure you guys already know. We got Zamasu as a floater, changing orbs. We got Omega as a floater, changing orbs, supporting, doing his thing. You can even move the Omega on rotation next to the Goku Black, and obviously that rotation is still gonna work on this team. And then if you take a look at the subs, we even have the Janemba on here, who is also a pretty good support if you want to run him. On the leader skill, we have actually a few Janembas, so maybe you don't have Rose Goku Black, you can go ahead and throw a Janemba on this team, and they will link pretty good next to Omega. And then for Team 5, we're back on Omega Shenron's leader skill. And this is a team I wanted to make. Let's say maybe if you couldn't make the teams that I mentioned earlier, maybe you're new and you're missing a few options, you could go ahead and run something like this. Tech Broly is on Omega Shenron's leader skill, but I do believe he's not getting the full leader skill buff, so keep that in mind. We do have Rose SDR on here. If you do not have SDR Rose, you can refer to one of the previous teams because you can put that Frieza or that Grade 8 Vegeta in his spot. And then we have the Goku Black clones on here. And then even if you don't have the AGL Super Easy A Rose, you could just fill his spot for another clone Rose on this team. So this is a more like new player friendly option. If you want to run Omega Shenron but you don't have nobody else on the team, you can run something like this. Now it's going to be pretty solid. However, I wouldn't go into the hardest fight expecting to show out. But if you're doing most content in the game, this team will hold its own. Just make sure you ain't going against a locking boss. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and check out the video on screen right now if you haven't already. Peace.